sports fans. Welcome to the Oklahoma Sports Report OU Football Edition. Rick Heath, Mark Rogers here from the garage here on Main Street in Norman. Mark, Brent Venables' fourth year starting as the OU head football coach. The first three mixed results, to say the least. What are we looking at here as the fourth season unfolds?
I think there's a lot of optimism surrounding OU football, and that happens all the time because people are used to the brand producing excellence throughout the years. But there's some challenges on board. They addressed the issues that they had last year with the offense, quarterback situation, went in the portal and got a guy that really I think has got the potential to be one of the best in college football. So until we see them in week 2, not week 1, I think there's still a lot of questions to be answered.
Well, there are going to be a lot of questions, and it all boils down to how well that offense does. Because last year the defense was pretty good. Ended up, one of the top, in the top version of the SEC defenses. And as a matter of fact, they finished the higher defensive rating than 4 of the top 10 players, top 10 teams. But the offense was 95th last year.
Yeah.
Like you said, they addressed it. They got the hottest young offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle, coming around, and he brings John McTeer in, and that alone should give them a boost, but they've done more than just that.
Well, Kevin Wilson is also here on staff. He's one of the top offensive minds in college football. And so you have his experience along with Ben Arbuckle's youth and his expertise, which I think that's a really, really good combination to have a guy like that watching over the offense. Wide receiver is still a big question for me. They're not healthy at that position in camp right now. I think they're in better shape than they were a year ago at wide receiver.
But that's not saying a lot.
No, last year they were really in a bad spot. I mean, Jaden Gibson is a big wide receiver. They don't have a lot of that on the roster, but he's yet to practice because of his injury that he suffered in the spring. So that's an important position for players to step up. They've recruited well at that position, but we just haven't seen the production on the field.
And there's lots of things that we're going to see. The offensive line has question marks, along with, a lot of other things. But as they say, we will see, because they get a good opening game in Illinois State, and then the question mark becomes at Michigan. Hey, we are at the garage here on Main Street in Norman. You got to come by. It is the best place for beer and burgers. According to the 405 magazine, it's the best burgers and beer in the metro. So there's garages all over the metro. Find a garage near you, pull in, and fill up at your nearest garage. We'll be right back after this.
Oh man, dude, I really wish I could make that. It's National No Pants Day, and that'd be kind of inappropriate.
We actually just had gas station sushi, and you just don't want to chance that.
We're gonna be running tornado drills all day.
I have tickets to see Kenny Rogers. He's what?
Tornado drill.
Your friends are tired of coming up with excuses. Two Fellas Moving Company, saving friendships since 1996.
Wander Folk Spirits, distilled out of Guthrie, Oklahoma. Great line of spirits. They have Wander Folk Gin, Wander Folk Vodka, and Old Moses Bourbon. All of these are quality products, and they're distilled right here in Oklahoma. So support Oklahoma business. Ask your favorite restaurant or bar to carry Wander Folk Spirits. Hi, friends. Did you know that over 80 million men and women suffer from hair loss? Well, now there's help. Dr. Victoria Johnson and her staff at Laser Light Skin Clinic are introducing a revolutionary laser hair loss treatment called Alma TED. Alma TED uses a proprietary laser that will help stop hair loss and promote growth. For more information, give Dr. Victoria Johnson and her staff at Laser Light a call and stop hair loss today.
You are the most beautiful creation under the sun. Daily Informations. You are going to make Table 14 so happy. And you are being taken away. All right. At Neighborhood Jam, you deserve breakfast as beautiful as you. So start the day right with scratch-made favorites. Morning or midday, every day. Treat yourself to Neighborhood Jam. You're gonna taste just as good tomorrow.
Mark, one of our good friends, T&W Tire, is sponsoring us this year. Talk to us about T&W Tire.
Well, we love T&W Tire. They're the sports animal locks of the week, so you're always going to get some good advice on that. T&W Tire started off in Oklahoma in the 80s with 5 locations, and they've grown to 30 locations that are all across the Southwest, Midwest part of the United States. So if you need tires for a fleet of vehicles, that's what they really specialize in. They do a great job with that. But Team W is more than just tires. If your car has the check engine light on, you can roll in there, oil change, they do it all. They'll usually give you a diagnostic exam for free when you go in there. So check them out, man. They do great customer service. Love the guys at the location on 25 North Council Road over there, but they've got locations all over. As we said, great family-owned business.
Welcome back, Oklahoma Sports Report OU Football Edition. Rick Heath, Mark Rogers from the garage here on Main Street in Norman. Mark, let's start off with the most important side of the ball, on my particular opinion, and that is the offense. McTeer's here, Ben Arbuckle's here. They brought in a new running back that has all SEC type potential. You said, you mentioned the injuries at wide receiver, and then the question marks at offensive line. Let's start there, because up front is going to dictate how well the rest of the offense does.
I think the offensive line, to me, is in much better shape than it was a year ago, and it's just based on the presence of the 2 freshmen, Boji and Fasusi. I think those guys are as good of recruits that they've had around the offensive line. And Fasusi is a true freshman, but I think he's as strong and as powerful as any offensive lineman that they already have on campus, and that just speaks to his incredible ability. I think that the offensive line is going to be in good shape this year. Is it going to be all world? I don't know, but I think that it's in much better shape. A year ago, when that part of the team also started off dealing with a lot of injuries. For the most part, Simmons at left tackle has been banged up with some concussions, and so that's a little bit of a concern, but they have some depth to pull from this year, but they're in a lot better shape health-wise.
Well, and that's the thing about it is the cohesiveness of the line is so important, but yet because of the injuries, they're still having to hold guys out that haven't practiced in 2 or 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. That's awfully hard to get cohesiveness. And they're going to face a huge test right off the bat when they play Michigan the second week. Michigan has every bit the strength and the size that SEC top teams have up front. Defensive line, offensive line.
No doubt. Now that will be a really big test for that Oklahoma offensive line, but you have an offense that Ben Arbuckle is bringing that doesn't necessarily require the offensive line to protect the quarterback for 4 and 5 seconds.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, and so you're going to see a lot of quick reads and a lot of quick game and a lot of quarterback run game, and I think things like that can help the offensive line out a little bit. And like we talked about in the first segment, the overall approach to the offense. Last year, there was no quarterback coach. Last year, it seemed like they really didn't have a direction on that side of the ball. Maybe the head coach
they didn't know where their identity was.
Yeah, poured all his attention into the defense and just kind of said, okay, well, hopefully the offense will come around. It's a 180-degree different approach this season with the offense.
Well, and it needs to be. I mean, it was forsworn last year. I mean, there was no direction. There was no guidance. There was no identity, as I said. And this year, Ben Arbuckle, not only has he brought his own offense in, but he has been smart enough on his own to go to Bill Bedenbaugh and to go to Kevin Wilson and go, hey, what do you think? Mm-hmm. And those are 2 of the most experienced, and as you said, Kevin Wilson, one of the brightest offensive minds in college football. His teams set records that won't be broken here at OU.
That's right.
And of course, Coach Bedenbaugh is a well-known offensive line coach and has got tons of experience, and he knows what that line can do. And to be able to have that cohesion there, between the offensive coordinator going, okay, I can do this because this line can do this, is so much better than last year when they were just, hey, call a play and hope.
Yeah, it's a big year for Bill Bedenbaugh. I mean, the offensive line has to be much better than it was a year ago, and until they go out there and prove it, that they still have some things to show in that category.
Offensive line. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do they start? What is their potential?
I mean, I'd say if you start out at a 5, I mean, that's good. If you want to be 8 by the end of the year, but depending on what your expectations are of this OU team, because those are all over the map. If you look in Las Vegas, it's anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5, depending on what the amount of money you want to lay is. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to get money back on the over 7.5 proposition, but there's a lot of people out there that are predicting that Oklahoma might be in the college football playoff, which I think is going to take 10 wins.
I think that's a
to get
little
there.
crimson look.
Probably.
I think that's a little bit of a crimson look.
Probably so, but if you look at the schedule, you just say there's not going to be games out there in which they're huge underdogs in. They'll be the biggest underdog of the season against Texas. Now that could change because Texas has some challenges early on in their schedule, same as Oklahoma does. But there's not a game on their schedule that they can't win, but there are 8 games that they could lose. So there's a big variance there of what you expect this team. If the offensive line is blocking like an 8 at the end of the year, then I think they'll feel good about
Where they are.
playing against teams like Tennessee on the road, Alabama on the road, and LSU at home. That's a gauntlet at the end of the season.
Boy, that's going to be tough, and we'll talk about that more when we get back. But we are here at the Main Street Garage in Norman. There are garages all over the metro area. Go by and get one of the best burgers you'll ever get at your neighborhood garage. Get filled up. Great fries, great burgers, great beers, and great specials at the garage near you. We'll be right back.
Charles, I do quite enjoy Oklahoma, but I do declare I miss the pub. Oh, Michael, you silly muppet. Why don't we just go to Pub W? You plonker. Pub W. It's Oklahoma's pub with all your favorites. Fish and chips, pigs in a blanket, chili lime chicken salad, and of course, whiskey. You said whiskey, my good man? Indeed I did. Pub W. Oklahoma's pub.
The garage is more than just a place to fix up the classic car. It's also a place to watch an instant classic. Or write the next great classic rock song. The garage, the place to keep it classic.
Oh man, dude, I really wish I could make that. It's National No Pants Day, and that'd be kind of inappropriate.
We actually just had gas station sushi, and you just don't want to chance that.
We're gonna be running tornado drills all day.
I have tickets to see Kenny Rogers. He's what?
Tornado drill.
Your friends are tired of coming up with excuses. Two Fellas Moving Company, saving friendships since 1996.
Wander Folk Spirits distilled out of Guthrie, Oklahoma. Great line of spirits. They have Wander Folk Gin, Wander Folk Vodka, and Old Moses Bourbon. All of these are quality products, and they're distilled right here in Oklahoma. So support Oklahoma business. Ask your favorite restaurant or bar to carry Wander Folk Spirits. Hi, friends. Did you know that over 80 million men and women suffer from hair loss? Well, now there's help. Dr. Victoria Johnson and her staff at Laser Light Skin Clinic are introducing a revolutionary laser hair loss treatment called Alma TED. Alma TED uses a proprietary laser that will help stop hair loss and promote growth. For more information, give Dr. Victoria Johnson and her staff at Laser Light a call and stop hair loss today.
You are the most beautiful creation under the sun. Daily Informations. You are going to make Table 14 so happy. And you are being taken away.
All right. At Neighborhood Jam, you deserve breakfast as beautiful as you. So start the day right with scratch-made favorites, morning or midday, every day. Treat yourself to Neighborhood Jam.
You're gonna taste just as good tomorrow.
Mark, one of our good friends, T&W Tire, is sponsoring us this year. Talk to us about T&W Tire.
Well, we love T&W Tire. They're the sports animal locks of the week, so you're always going to get some good advice on that. T&W Tire started off in Oklahoma in the 80s with 5 locations, and they've grown to 30 locations that are all across the Southwest, the Midwest part of the United States. So if you need tires for a fleet of vehicles, that's what they really specialize in. They do a great job with that. But T&W is more than just tires. If your car has the check engine light on, you can roll in there, oil change, they do it all. They'll usually give you a diagnostic exam for free when you go in there. So check them out, man. They do great customer service. Love the guys at the location on 25 North Council Road. over there, but they've got locations all over. As we said, great family-owned business. With Oklahoma
great
roots.
sponsor here. The Oklahoma Sports Report will actually be in TW Tire Studios this year. So looking forward to that.
See how fast you can do a tire change, like NASCAR style.
I'm really good on that.
Yeah.
I got the sound effects down anyway. So let's go back to the offensive side. Quarterback, on a scale 1 to 10, where do you think Mateer is, and where do you think he might end up?
Mateer's a 9, and I don't know that he can end up a whole lot higher than that. I mean, I just have very high expectations for him. I know there's a lot of people that say, well, yeah, he didn't do this stuff in the SEC, but he did do it against a really good schedule of college football. So I think Mateer will face some challenges. It's not going to be as easy as it was at times, but I think Oklahoma's in really good shape at that position.
Well, the beauty of what I like about Mateer is he's got an offense he's already familiar with.
Yeah.
He's plugging in an offense that he's already run for 2 years, and he knows it, and he's got a good offensive coordinator. And like you said, that offensive coordinator is going to put him in position to have success. It's not going to be drop back and run for your life like Jackson Arnold did last year in the first 4 or 5 games. It's going to be a designed spread offense where they're going to know where the defensive weaknesses are, and they're going to attack them. And I got a lot of faith in that.
Since 1999, the OU quarterback position has been largely really, really good. They've had the all-time leading passer since in that group, Landry Jones, who would, for my money, not even in the top 5 of guys in that time. Heisman Trophy winners aplenty and all that stuff. And I think John Mateer evokes memories of some of those guys. He's got that kind of moxie of Baker Mayfield. That doesn't make him Baker Mayfield. I think he's got a little bit of the leadership of Josh Heupel, too, and a real film fiend and studies all those type of things. Doesn't make him as clutch as Josh Heupel or as smart as Josh Heupel. But we'll see. I think that's the least of OU's worries this year is the quarterback position.
All right, let's go to a couple of position groups that are right now injured. Running backs and wide receivers. Running backs, they bring in a top-notch transfer, the top-notch running back transfer in the country, and hopefully they're going to get him healthy and be ready to go. Time for Michigan.
Not a lot of practice time for Jaden Knott, but the running backs are the complete opposite of the wide receivers. There's plenty of players in that room that have some experience. I mean, there's not Marcus Dupree in there, but they do have a lot of guys that were highly recruited and I think can really run the ball. One of my favorites is Xavier Robinson, who was the least heralded of the guys coming in, but he had the most productive season a year ago. So I think running back, whether there's some injuries or not, whether Jaden Knott gets out there and is healthy, to me that is a good spot on this team.
Well, it should be, because they're going to be running behind, hopefully, an experienced offensive line, an effective offensive line, in a good offensive scheme, and getting the ball into open spaces, which they weren't able to last year. And I looked for that. If they can get those running backs into open space, then I think it'll be very productive. Wide receiver, on the other hand, boy, again, just injury prone and just can't get guys healthy on the field.
They're best in the slot. I think with Deion Burks, you've got him in that position. You also have Isaiah Satinga that transferred from Arkansas. Those are small guys, and they're going to help you a lot blocking. And then you look at Gibson that transferred in from where was it, Grambling, I think, or Arkansas Pine Bluff. But he's still not practicing. He's got hurt in the spring and broke his leg. So OU's really going to need him back at that spot, because he's really one of the. I don't expect them to have Jaden Gibson. He's really been battling a chronic knee injury, and I think that it'll be tough to expect a lot from him, even though he's been around for a while and shown some production on the field. So to me going into this, like 6 weeks ago, I thought, offensive line, wide receivers, the two biggest question marks. To me, it's wide receiver that's elevated itself as a concern way past the offensive line.
They're going to have to depend on true freshmen.
Yeah.
And that's awful tough to do in the SEC. So we'll figure out. The other part, tight ends, started out at 4. I mean, at best a 4, and maybe it gets to a 6. I can't see any help there for tight ends.
I don't know. I'm going to start the tight end expectation out at 0. I mean, the guy that they had last year, Bauer Sharp, transferred to LSU, and they love having him. And OU fans weren't really impressed with him. Not much of a blocking tight end, but at least a pass receiving guy. I don't know what they have at tight end. They've got a linebacker that was an athlete in high school, and Jared Kanek, that I don't think he's number 1 on the depth chart. Maybe he can.
They're trying to find
that doesn't mean that
him.
Group can't be 6 or 7 by the end of the year. But right now, we don't know anything about it. It's a 0.
That's it. And the offensive line, I mean, we talked about that. So the one thing I do think is the positive overall, all overarching positive, is Ben Arbuckle in that offensive coordinator position, and working with Bill Bedenbaugh and Kevin Wilson. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. But hey, we are at the Main Street Garage here in Norman. There are garages, Main Street's everywhere also, but there are garages all over the metro area. Go by and get a great burger, french fries, tacos, whatever, salads, beverages, and specials, all available at the garage all over the metro area. The best burgers and fries, according to the 405 magazine, in the metro. We'll be right back after this. And welcome back. Rick Heath, Mark Rogers from the Main Street Garage in Norman, OU football preview show. And we're talking OU football. Mark, the defense probably has the best going into the season, the best of Brent Venables' career so far.
Yeah, no question. I mean, especially up front, the defense is deep. Like it's, you don't want to talk about injuries, but maybe during the year you're going to sustain a few of those. But they're deep across the board. They're deep at the end position. They're deep at the defensive tackle position, and they've got guys that did make plays in the SEC last year. Dominic Williams, I think this is his final go around. He started as a true freshman at TCU, spent 2 years starting there, 2 years here, second year starting at Oklahoma. I mean, this guy is ready to play in the SEC. So they're good on the edge, they're good up front,
the middle, yes.
And I'd say maybe potentially other than quarterback, that's the absolute strength of the football team.
Yeah, and it needs to be, because the defense is going to have to, always say defense is going to have to carry them until the offense gets going. Well, that's going to be very true this year for sure, because not that the offense is going to be stagnant or anything, but the defense is already a proven product. They came in last year and played really, really well against some very, very good quarterbacks in the SEC. Linebackers are going to be a little bit of a question mark because, of what they lost. Danny Sussman was one of those leaders that, you just don't find at the back of the line anywhere else. And so that's going to be hard to replace. And I think depth at cornerback is going to be a little bit more difficult and it's been that way since Brent's been here.
Kip Lewis won them a game last year, the Auburn game, with that pick six. I mean, I think it's going to be tough for them to score in that game if he doesn't help them there. But replacing Danny Stutzman was not going to be easy just based on the experience that he had, knowing how to get people in the right spot. Robert Spears-Jennings at safety, the leader on the back end there. But you're absolutely right about the cornerback position because Gentry Williams' shoulder, it never got well last season. And so dealing with that injury is a big issue. And then so far, Eli Bowen has not been able to practice because he has had an injury to his leg. So you're going to have, I think, really three dependable corners right now. And they could have some good ones, but they're very, very young at that position. So the health at corner is really important. I think it's important as you get later in the season when you face receiving corps like LSU and Alabama.
But, especially because Michigan's not known as a big-time throwing team.
That's great for them early in the season that they won't have to face much of a passing attack there.
Yeah. And Brent being full-time defensive coordinator, okay, I want to address that because my biggest complaint, or I should, complaint, whatever, about Brent is he spent too much time over with the defense when he was supposed to be the head coach on the field. And with Kevin Wilson, my question is, as much as I respect Kevin Wilson, I hope that Brent Venables gives Kevin Wilson the ability to say, Kevin, you're my right-hand guy. When I'm over here talking defense, I need your eyes on the field and telling me what I need to be doing.
I don't know what Kevin's responsibilities are on the day of the game. I mean, I think that he should have that trust in Arbuckle. If you're hiring an offensive coordinator that comes in with his system, that you're going to have to put a lot of faith in him if you're worrying about the defense. I think where it goes haywire is when you're trying to coach defense and then you're still trying to provide input in some of the other stuff. So Brent is old enough, he's experienced enough that that's something that hopefully will be a positive because you've seen in the past at times that it could be a little bit of a distraction. So we'll give it one more try. I mean,
he needs to be able to hand that off to somebody, whether it's Arbuckle or Kevin Wilson or whomever. But he needs somebody that
I think in the past it has been handed off to other people, but it's still best. Head coach is still best being the head coach, and that's question: is Brent Venables coordinating a defense so valuable that it can take away from his head coaching responsibilities? I don't know the answer to that.
That's the biggest
If
question.
not, he should have just hired Brent to be the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's really good at that. That's fine. And some people are meant to be coordinators, but that's a huge question going forward. He's got to prove that he can do that.
And that, to me, is the biggest question going into this season. It overwhelms everything else, because if Brent can't be the head coach and give up responsibilities in order to make sure that, we're going to accept that penalty, or no, we want to take that punt over. If he can't focus on that, it's going to be tough anyway. Hey, that's going to do it for this week's show. Enjoy this week's show. Next week we'll be there for the first game, Illinois State. We'll be here and ready to go again on the Oklahoma Sports Report.